Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I'm going to be filming a half high-end and half drugstore full face of makeup. I have literally wanted to film this for probably about 4 or 5 months now, since people started doing it, but it's took me this long to actually get one product of everything high-end in my makeup collection. So yeah, I know I have a lot of high-end makeup in this video, but it is literally pretty much all that I own. I don't have much more than this apart from my shadow palettes because I spent an awful lot of money on them. See if you can guess which side is high-end and which side is drugstore. I'm going to insert a picture now of the finished makeup look and comment down below if you think the high-end is the left side or the right side, and if the drugstore is the left side or the right side. I will leave a running total of hopefully each side of makeup at the sides of this video, but yeah, that is about it. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Okay, so to start off with, I am going to be putting the drugstore on this side of my face and the high-end on this side of my face. Hopefully I will remember that and try and stick to putting a line down the middle of my face. I'm going to be using the same brushes on each side as well to keep this as fair as possible. So right now I've just basically got a completely bare face and I'm going to start off. So the first thing I would normally do is prime. So on the drugstore side I'm going to be using the Maybelline Baby Skin, and on the high-end side I'm going to be using the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, because I do feel like these are both silicone based and they're both supposed to cover up pores. They're both oil free, so yeah, I feel like these are good to put against each other. I'm just going to pop my cat ears on as usual. If I'm looking over here quite a bit, it's because I've got a mirror kind of base, and it always, I don't know why, but primer always makes my cheeks go really red. So now onto the high-end side with this Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. I feel like we won't see the results of this obviously until I put the foundations on. At the moment, the drugstore side is feeling a lot more greasy kind of. I feel like my foundation will slide, and this side feels a lot more set into my face. So for foundation, the only high-end foundation I have is the Urban Decay All Nighter in the shade 1.0. And then I thought the most similar foundation I have to this texture-wise is the L'Oreal Infallible 24 Hour. This is in the shade 015 Porcelain. Now, I know this is a lot lighter than this, as you can probably tell, but hopefully they will kind of heat against each other because they are a very similar texture. So I'm going to be first off starting with the L'Oreal foundation, and I'm going to be blending both sides with this toothbrush kind of brush and my beauty blender. So I'm just going to dot this around my face as I normally would, and then I'm going to blend it in. So with that side of my face, I don't know if you can see, I've still got an awful lot of redness around my cheeks and it's not really covered that much. So now I'm going to move on to the high-end side and do exactly the same thing. And as you can probably tell, that is a lot more my shade. So I don't know if you can tell, but this side of my face has got so much more coverage. But I mean, I wouldn't normally choose to use this foundation, so maybe if I compared it to a drugstore foundation I love, then that wouldn't be the case. It has oxidised quite a bit all around here, and all my redness is coming through, whereas on this side it does look pretty much flawless as far as I'm going to get, because I have really red skin. So now I'm going to move on to concealer. So for the high-end side I'm using the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer in Fair Neutral, which I absolutely love. And then on the drugstore side I'm using the Collection Lasting Perfection in the shade One Fair, which I also absolutely love. Now I've never used this on spots before, so it will be interesting to see how it works. So I'm just going to pop this under my eyes, and then any areas I've got redness, blemishes, anything like that. As you can tell, that foundation didn't cover very much. But with that concealer, I am looking a lot more normal coloured. Even you can see my redness, it's a lot better than it was. So now I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the other side. And I had to use a lot less of it on this side because obviously I do have a lot less marks just because the foundation covered a lot more. So now I've concealed, I don't think there is that much of a major difference in each side of my face. I'm pretty happy. Apart from this little area of redness I've just got here, they are looking pretty good, and that Urban Decay concealer is actually quite good at concealing spots, which I did not know until today. As for covering my under eye bags, I don't really suffer from that, so I couldn't really comment on that. Another thing I'd like to point out is that this side of my nose is really itching with that foundation, so I don't know if I'm going to have like a reaction to it or something because I've not used it for a long time. But onto powder. So to stop my concealer creasing, I'm just going to pop a bit where I've put it. So on the Drugstore side, I'm going to use the Maybelline Matte Makeup Powder in 10 Classic Ivory. And then of course I'm using the MAC Studio Fix in NW20 on the high-end side. And onto the high-end side. So the MAC powder is a lot more pressed than the Maybelline, which is one of the first things I noticed. But to be honest, I do prefer the Maybelline one for that job because a loose powder is exactly what I want to stop everything creasing. So now I'm going to be moving on to eyebrows. So firstly, I'm just going to brush through them like I normally would. And I can't use my normal product because I don't own a high-end pomade. I'm going to have to use a pencil because that's the only thing I own that is high-end. So for the Drugstore side, I'm going to be using my old favourite, which is the Rimmel Professional Eyebrow Pencil. And then for the high-end side, I'm going to be using Benefit Scoop Proof Brow Pencil in the shade 2, and this is in the shade Hazel. I haven't used a pencil in ages, so this is probably going to completely fail because I can't really remember how you use it, but we'll just give it a shot. So that is way too brown for my eyebrows, you can probably see. That's for someone who has like warm brown hair, not really light brown like me. But I don't mind the pencil as such, it's just the shade is not right. I'm definitely not Hazel. And I'm onto the high-end side. So them eyebrows are completely different shapes because I cannot work with the shape of this. I don't know if you can tell. It's a really bizarre shape, so yeah. As for the product, I prefer this one, and for the colour I prefer this one. So it's kind of a win-win, but I'd definitely go for the Drugstore option. To set those into place, I'm using the Rimmel Brow Display in clear and the Benefit Ready Set Brow, which is also a clear setting gel. So just using the Rimmel one first. And now I'm going to use the Benefit one, which is almost run out. So this one definitely feels a lot wetter, and then this one makes your eyebrows feel crustier and like they are not going to budge, whereas this kind of, I don't know, if I touch it, like my finger gets wet. So I feel like that's just a bit too watered down maybe. I'd definitely for this go for the Benefit option. Now I'm going to start off with my eyeshadow. So the primer I normally use is the Rimmel Match Perfection Concealer, so I'm just going to use that as normal. And then I'm going to use the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion in Original, which I used to always use on this side. So as for coverage, I actually feel like the concealer's done more, but obviously a concealer's meant to cover, so I kind of would expect that. This side is a lot creamier and stickier and feels like the eyeshadow will take better to it, but they are a pretty good match to each other, and I wouldn't really justify paying for that when this kind of does the same job. It stops it creasing. So for eyeshadow, I'm going to be using probably the most similar palettes of all time, and that is the Makeup Revolution Iconic 3 palette and the Urban Decay Naked 3. When you look at these, you'll see that the shades in them are basically identical. Do you see a difference? Because I don't see a difference. So I'm going to be putting these up to the test and seeing if the Makeup Revolution one, which is £4, can outstand the £40 Urban Decay one. So as usual, I'm going to take the Spectrum B06 brush and take the white shade in this palette and then the white one in this palette, which is called Strange, and I'm just going to set the primer into place with that. Now for that, I definitely prefer the Drugstore side. It makes it look like it's done something, whereas with the high end it doesn't. But the best thing about this is you've got a nice big mirror in it. So then I'm going to be taking the Spectrum B04 brush, and on the Drugstore side I'm going to be taking that shade there, the matte one. Now I didn't realise this, but my brush is actually soaking wet still from when I washed it before, so this might not be the fairest of tests. But I'm then going to take Nuna, which is the same shade, on my other eye. So as you can tell before I blend that out, that side is a whole lot more pigmented than that side is. So Drugstore is winning so far, and I'm just going to take that brush I used originally and try and blend that out a little bit. This used to be like my go-to look. And even with, I mean, this side has blended a lot better, let's be fair. But if you want the pigmentation, this side is the one to go for. So now I'm just going to take the Real Techniques shading brush and use this shade from this palette. And then I'm going to use Liar from the Urban Decay palette. Those shades are literally the same thing. The eyes are looking pretty similar, apart from obviously that side's blended out a little bit better. To finish that look off, I'm going to take the shade I used in the crease on both sides, and I'm just going to pop that underneath my eyes. And then I'm going to be taking this second pinky shade from the Makeup Revolution palette, popping that on my inner corner. And then Buzz from the Naked 3. And that is the eyeshadow finished. So yeah, those are looking pretty similar to each other, and I would not recommend spending £39 on this palette. I would literally just stick to the Makeup Revolution one. And I'm sorry about how long a video this is going to be. I've already been recording for half an hour now, and I'm literally like halfway there, so I do apologise. So for mascara, to keep this completely fair, as in how good the mascara is and not my eyelashes, I'm not going to be curling them at all. So on the Drugstore side, I'm going to use the Falsies Push Up Angel by Maybelline, and then the Benefit Roll Lash on the Highend, because I feel like this is the most similar one I have to the Benefit Roller Lash. And then I'm just going to pop the Roller Lash on the other eye. So as in terms of like curling my eyelashes, the Benefit Roller Lash has clearly won by a mile. This is only the mini as well, so it's about the same price as this, so I would kind of recommend getting this. But yeah, it's definitely given me more volume on this side, curled them more, and I just feel like it's going to hold better. And then if you know me, you'll know I like to split my eyelashes out after doing that. So for this side, I'm going to be taking the Maybelline Illegal Definition Mascara, and then a MAC sample I've got, which is the In Extreme Dimension Lash. And you will see these brushes do look awfully similar. I hate the smell of this Maybelline one. It smells like lavender, and it's the sort of smell that gives me a headache. So that has done basically nothing for my eyelashes, I'm not going to lie. And now I'm just going to take the MAC one. I feel like the wand is bigger than the tube. So if you were just looking at me, I feel like you wouldn't notice that much of a difference, but I definitely do prefer the high-end side. So for contour and bronzer, everything in one basically, I'm going to be using the Collection Contour Highlight and Sculpt palette on the Drugstore, and then the Benefit Hoola Bronzer on the Highend, just because this is the most similar shade of bronzer that I have to the Hoola one. So I'm going to take this on the Spectrum A05 brush. And then the Benefit Hoola. Now I'm just going to blend both sides in with the Zoeva Face Shape brush. So I do feel like the Collection one is much more matched to my skin tone, but the Benefit one just blends better and gives a better like finished look. And yes, I have got pyjama bottoms on right now. So for blush, the only high-end blush I own is the Ted Baker one from the Christmas set. which is that one on the top there, and then I'm going to be using that against the MUA shade 1 because that is the closest again which I have. To do that, I'm just going to use the Real Techniques blush brush. And then the Ted Baker. That Ted Baker one is way too peachy for me, like you can literally just see peach. So yeah, I'll definitely prefer the Drugstore side. If my nose is going really red, it's because it's really itchy. I genuinely do think I'm allergic to something which I have used. Like, it should not be that colour. So to get towards the end, I'm just going to take the Spectrum AO1 brush and again use the Maybelline Matte Makeup Powder and the MAC Studio Fix just to set over everything which we have done so far. So again, it's not really made that much of a difference, but I wouldn't expect it to. So for highlight, I really want to put the Sleek Solstice palette up to the test. So I'm firstly going to use the shade Subsolar, which is this one here, on the high points of my cheek only. So my camera has actually cut out from recording. I'm not sure where it got up to, but I've just used the Anastasia Glow Kit on this side and the Sleek highlighting palette on this side, and now I'm going to use the Sleek shade there. Against MAC's Soft and Gentle, which is a very similar shade. I think Highend has definitely won on that one, to be honest. So the final thing I'm going to do to finish off the look is use the NYX Lip Lingerie in the shade 7 Satin Ribbon against the Too Faced Melted Matte in Child Star, which is my all-time favourite. The NYX one is definitely a lot more creamier than the Too Faced one is. You know what, against each other, I don't think you'll be able to tell the different lipsticks. I'm pretty happy with the finished result of that. So that is the finished makeup look. Let me know which size you prefer down below. Is it the Drugstore or is it the Highend? For me, it is definitely the Drugstore, even though I prefer the base of the Highend. That is all I'm going to be filming today. So if you have liked the video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I'm sorry about how long it has been. And don't forget to subscribe down below, and I'll be back with a new video very soon. Bye!